Welcome everyone to this Privacy Rules Privacy Espresso. My name is Alessandro Di Mattia, Legal and Executive Officer at Privacy Rules. And today I'm joined by Susanne Lie, Senior Advisor at the Datatilsynet, that is the Norwegian DPA. I'm very pleased to have her with us today because we are going to discuss about a very interesting topic, that is the one related to a study that they made in relation to an health analysis platform for Norway. So Susanne, maybe you can provide us a bit more information on the background of what we are talking about and which are the data privacy implications of this topic.
Yes, thank you for having me. Yes, as you mentioned, I'm talking about the health analysis platform. It's under development here in Norway. We have many health registers dating back to the 1950s on many different areas, everything from birth and causes of death and cancer and you name it. So the Norwegian government has a large amount of health data about our citizens dating back quite a while now. So the idea was to simplify the process when it comes to research, medical research, and also making it easier to combine these data in new ways. So this was to be gathered at one platform called the Health Analysis Platform. And it's a directorate of e-health that is responsible here in Norway. And of course, due to the massive amounts of data, the idea was to use cloud storage, which can be a very good solution. It might be as safe as any solution, really. So that's not an issue. But as we all know, past the Schrems II judgment, judicial decision, there's the problem with transferring data to the US. And in this case, the idea was to use Microsoft Azure. And there is also another part of the problem relating to the standard contract that Microsoft offers in these cases. So that is kind of the background why this process has stopped here in Norway. The controller, which is the Directorate of eHealth, made a thorough assessment themselves and decided that it was not safe from a privacy perspective to move forward with using Microsoft Azure as a platform. So as of now, it's quite unclear what will actually happen with the process itself. So it's paused until further notice, to say. Yeah.
Perfect. Thanks a lot for this quick, starting overview. You touched in particular two interesting points. The fact that the first one was using the cloud and the issues related to that. And the second one was the usage of a standard contract. That is something that we see quite often. Can you delve a bit more on these 2 points in particular, and which were the results of the analysis?
Yes. When it comes to the problem after Schrems II, we also know that there is an agreement now on a new framework, the Transatlantic Data Privacy Framework. So we see that transferring data to the US, a solution might be coming in quite a near future, perhaps. But of course, it's the issue of American intelligence and the US government having access to data upon request. And it's also not known necessarily whether or not they want to access the data. So that's one issue, but with measures like encryption and different information security measures, that could maybe be tackled. So, but that's one part of the problem. The other one is the standard contract of Microsoft Azure. The directorate assessed that their purposes, the use for their own purposes, was very vaguely defined. It's stated that Microsoft can use the data for their own business operations. That's the quote. And what's in business operations? It's not easily defined what could be falling under that term. So, and the other issue was that it's not only the data of the controller, but also all the health data on the platform could theoretically be accessed by Microsoft. And that could not be solved with encryption and other restrictions on access, because they would need technical support, for instance, and then people at Microsoft would have full access to the data, underlying data on the platform. So their conclusion was that, yes, you can always put down measures to secure the data as well as you possibly can, but that would not be sufficient in this case. So that's also an issue we have seen on different platforms, is their support services, their technical support, which is, as per now, was located in the US, but it seems like they will move this to within the EU this year, I think they said. So that's an issue that could be solved.
That's extremely interesting to hear, because we are raising, when we are having this espresso in particular, points on which are the main issues, and we see that there are, every time ways or companies trying to solve it in different ways. And for example, I didn't know about the fact that they were now thinking of moving the support in the EU in order to avoid this kind of problem that is a shared problem with other platforms, not just with Microsoft. So as many others, it's probably a learning process that will require time. Of course, possibly the solution or a final solution or more clear solution will come soon, because of course it's difficult for private company every time to keep and stay updated with it. But that's very interesting. And which are your key takeaways in that regard of this case?
The most interesting to me was that the Directorate, they performed a very thorough and good legal analysis of the issues, the two main issues here. And what they considered the biggest risk was actually Microsoft using their data for their own purposes. It was not the whole transfer to the US, the Schrems II part of the problem, but actually the standard contract, which was viewed as the largest legal risk, and the one they could not sufficiently protect against. So that was personally my biggest takeaway from this the process they performed. And it's also interesting, just this has been a very high profile project when it comes to health data and research, and it's many people are very impatient for this to be in place, but as of now, like I said, it's an open question as to what will happen.
Yeah, as many, and the difficult part is that an open question, but it's also true that are different possible and viable solutions. It's just about finding them together on a case-by-case basis. And I see that in general the authorities are pretty keen to recognize the fact that there is a difficulty. So they don't issue a fine if they know that it's something that is understandable in a case like this. And how much do you foresee a solution coming from one side, from the companies themselves, and on the other side, because you were also mentioning the Atlantic transfer agreement between US and the EU. So which one do you think will come first?
That's a good question. I know that they're looking at other alternatives, some sort of storage within Europe, reusing existing solutions we have nationally, etc. But the problem is the massive amounts of data. So the storage capacity in itself could be a problem. So it depends on whether they can find an alternative. So one can hope is that the underlying contract of the transatlantic privacy framework will come in place at the end of this year, perhaps, if we're lucky. So that might be actually a quicker solution. And it remains to be seen whether or not that new agreement will be part of a new legal process. So
that is very much expected.
Yes, exactly.
So hopefully we'll be protected and structured enough to, I mean, that's part of the game, so legal challenge is also part of protecting privacy from the EU side. So hopefully this time will be capable, the new provision to resist to this discussion. But Susanne, we end up of our time, but thanks a lot again for being with us today and for discussing with me this very interesting and intricate topic, I would say. Looking forward, to receive new opinion from the Datatilsynet side and from your side, and of course also considering always other DPAs, and looking forward to next step and next discussion together. Thanks a lot to you. Thanks a lot to our listeners for being with us, and see you all soon with the next Privacy Espresso. Bye everyone.